Right, welcome back to the Survival Debrief. This is episode 12. As you know about me, Stephen Kelly, full-time soldier, been serving 23 years and just retired. I also took on the UK's extreme survival show, Naked Alone Racing to Get Home, and I was lucky enough to take on Naked and Afraid as well, not once, but twice. And I'm so happy we've got the tough, relentless Heather Smith outdoors on our podcast today. How are you, Heather?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, buddy?
Yeah, nah, really good. I'm just happy you're on here. I know you're busy, like we were speaking before, but I appreciate the fact you've took your time and to come and talk to me for 30 minutes.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And I'll tell you one thing. I was watching the apocalypse and from day one, my ex is British. The
Yeah.
little's dad is British and he was military too. So I saw you on there and obviously I know EJ's really fond of you and EJ's my mentor. So
Yeah.
I've been pulling for you from the beginning and so I saw you on Apocalypse and you kicked butt and took names, you know what I mean? So it was good.
I absolutely enjoyed it out there. I wish it was longer. 35 days was too short for me. I wanted a 60 days when I was out there. I was just getting into my vibe and then it was done.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I've done 40 days and day 38, 39, it's no punk. So
Yeah, yeah, I can
people
imagine.
people don't realize, I talked a lot. I was pretty arrogant on my first one, when I went out in Africa, they said, can you make it 21 days? I said, I can make it 40. I just got to get past this first, right? And I did. However, there's a significant difference. Once you hit day 22, you're in a whole new world.
Yeah, I totally understand. But stripping it all right back anyway, and this is what our podcast all about. The fans want to know what goes on behind the scenes, and I like to I like to ask the survivalists as well what's going on. So how did it all start for you? How did you end up naked in the middle of Africa on your 21-day challenge with the two other boys you were with, weren't you? There was two males and one female on your first challenge. How did that come about?
Okay, so how did I end up being on Naked and Afraid?
Yeah,
So I was in the outdoor arena to begin with, and I was fishing a lot of tournaments. And so another show had actually asked me if I wanted to be on survival show. It was a new extreme survival show here in America. And I said, let me think about it. I said, I don't know anything about survival. Let me do some survival training first. And then I went and trained actually up in the Pacific Northwest with a guy named Travis Johnson at Northwest Survival School. And I can't do anything once. Hold on real quick. Sorry about that. I got a little girl that's talking in the back.
no, it's okay. It's no problem.
I went up to the Pacific Northwest and I did some training. Ended up getting certified in survival. Then I got certified in advanced survival and just spent a lot of time up there. Right when I had finished another one of the courses, somebody made a comment about you should do Naked and Afraid. And I said, okay. And it was really like that quick is how it went. And so it wasn't long after that I was in Africa and immediately regretting my decision about 30 seconds into insertion because I think we have one of the worst, most brutal insertions in the history of the show.
I remember
And the
watching before,
ground,
yeah.
yeah, and you were there. Okay, Apocalypse was literally in the neighborhood of where my first challenge was.
Yeah.
And the ground was 138 degrees when I inserted, and I ended up burning the bottom of my right foot.
Honestly, when I was on Apocalypse, when me and Miranda and Wes jumped out the truck, me and Miranda were looking at Wes's feet were so tough, and I'm used to wearing boots all the time. I didn't really do any foot prep for Africa, and me and Miranda were just looking at each other, going, "Wow, this is horrendous to walk on." It was so hot, and any little tiny little bit of shade. I was standing on my tiptoes, leaning next to Miranda, like that, going, "We need to keep moving. Oh, come on!" I wanted the camera crew to keep moving instead of standing still and moving the cameras around, and it was absolutely relentless. And I remember watching back on your episodes how you had to jump from shade to shade and get in the water. What was going through your head at that time on Unsurgeon?
Well, and it's not only a matter of jumping from spot and like you're running like a little meerkats, right? Like you literally are running, like you're saying, you're shadow hopping. But at the same time, you come across what they call skewers of acacia thorns, that these things that people don't really realize the magnitude and the sheer size of these things that you're encountering out there. You know, PBS or National Geographic didn't prepare us for this, right? Like the actual reality of it. And so, I was in a lot of pain. I've got thorns going into my feet. I'm burning. I don't know the two people that are with me. I know I'm naked. I'm being watched on camera. And then you're also being I'm being cautious in what I'm saying because I know at the same time this is going to be played back for everybody, right? So I immediately began to regret my decision.
I'll tell you what, though, Heavy,
Not even
you
a
were
joke.
relentless.
Yeah.
You were tough out there.
Hmm.
You're quite
Yeah.
a robust, tough woman and a good survivalist. And it was good hearing before that you've done quite a bit of training, went from basic to advanced. So that's good to know that because a lot of people watching this might not know you went through survival training. You haven't just went out there being an outdoors person. You've actually went through proper survival training as well up to the advanced, which is quite cool to hear. And obviously you've got some skills as well to be out there and do it.
Hmm. Yeah, so every challenge that I went on, and I went and prepared and did a lot of survival training. And so, even for the Excel, I trained with my children, the littles. I actually took them up to the mountains of Montana for 3 weeks prior to going out on Excel, and we spent 3 weeks on the top of a mountain in basically like this primitive cabin, no power, no electricity, no running water, and we trained up on a mountain, And then when I had survival instructors up there with us. And that's literally what I did prior to going out to Excel. So I've kind of immersed myself. I mean, I did training everywhere in Florida. I trained with Aaron Phillips, who was on prior season several years ago, down in Ocala at one point, which is over by where Miranda lives. I did training in Louisiana. So I've tried to train. I trained in Moab, Utah. I've trained in Oregon. I've trained, you never know what biosphere where you're going to go really off the bat. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when so you want to be kind of trained for anything, right? Like you don't
Yeah.
know. Like that's the beauty of Naked and Afraid. They're like surprise, and then they love to give you a little twist, at the very end, right?
Now, talking about your first challenge, obviously you went out there, you got two partners. Um, Talking about your first challenge, what was it like getting to the end of it? You've went out there, you didn't know these people, you stripped off naked, and what was the feeling like getting to the end of it?
Oh, it was the euphoric feeling that you get when you complete a challenge is cosmically transformed. I mean, it cosmically transforms you is the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
Um, it's there's a lot of moments in your life when you have pride for other things, like when you have your children, right? And you look at them, you have your heart swells with pride that you could not ever imagine, but it's your love for another being, right? Like it's this unconditional love. The day you get married, right? Your spouse that you love so much. That's the pride of what's happening in that moment, and then you saying your vows. Completing a challenge that not many people on this earth can even face, and knowing that you overcame odds that in an environment that was designed to break you.
Yeah.
And you walk out of that, and in my case, I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. We did not get along,
Yeah.
and I remember at one point, and it wasn't shown, but I definitely had to talk him out of tapping out, right? And that sometimes I think maybe I shouldn't have said anything, and I should have just finished it alone, and just let him go. But I also had that sense of pride that I knew that I kept him in there. So, but it's a sense of pride that you've never felt in your life. I mean, it's just a moment where you look back on everything you've done in your life and that was the moment.
It is a good feeling, isn't it, getting to the end? And what I liked about it is I've been doing SEER training and survival in the military for 23 years. And what I liked about it was stripping back and just realizing, you know what, I can still do it with nothing as well. And that's what solidified it for me, which what I really enjoyed about it. But talking about your challenge you were on, obviously you had two partners. One lad unfortunately dropped out. You had a bit of friction with your first partner, sorry, with your other partner. But talking about that challenge, is there anyone what never made the scream what you wish did?
I'm sorry, what happened?
Is there anything that
You're we don't have subtitles in this podcast. So
is,
I'm gonna need you to come back.
is there anything that you did
Hold
on
on
your
real quick.
challenge?
Stop until after, please. Thank you. Go ahead.
Is there anything that you did on your challenge? What didn't make the cut? Didn't make the episode? What you wished he did?
Is there anything that did? Oh, there's a lot that didn't
Yeah.
make the cut. That
Is there anything
when
that
we
you
were
can
in South
tell us?
Africa. Yeah, no. Everyone talked about, there was a lot of things that if it would have made the cut, it would have made sense. there was a tigerfish that I caught in Africa, and that did not make the cut. And it was actually one of my bucket list fish to ever catch.
Yeah.
And so, and we don't get any pictures, right? We don't get any video. They have everything. We're naked. So to this day, I don't have a picture of that catch, right? Like, so that was a very big deal to me. It also would have shown the viewers at home what was happening with the line. A lot of people were trying to say that it's because I couldn't tie a knot. Well, if they actually fished or they knew anything about fishing or anything to do with knots, when you do a fishing line, they would have known if the knots were coming undone, it would have been like a pig's tail at the end, but it wasn't. It was a clean cut, which showed that the line was breaking, right? So there was
Yeah, yeah.
something that was cutting the line. And you know, a lot of people, and you'll notice that in fans, they love to chatter, but if you start dissecting what they're saying, they have no idea what they're saying. They're like keyboard warriors from Temu. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
absolutely not, you know? So but I wish that fish would have made the cut because that was really big and that was important fish to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, there was a lot more fish that were cut that I caught in Colombia that I wish would have made the deal. The crab that we got in Castaways, actually, I caught our first food for our team. I wish that would have made the cut. And then I also, mm, Adam ate a lot more fish
Oh, we
than they
seen that.
showed.
We seen that.
No, you saw a few. We're
Yeah.
talking a lot, like double digits. Like we're
Wow.
talking 20 something fish that he ate and didn't share, and 20 something. That's not
Wow.
embellishing at all. And but on the other hand, I think if they would have shown all that, somebody be burning this house down. Like he's already gaining enough hatred as it is. And you know, we've made amends, and he said his apologies, and so we're good. And so part of me, you know, because some fans always say ugly things, right? You know, and some hate me because I'm a villain, but I'm a good villain. You know what I mean? So at least I'm good at something, right?
No, I don't think,
But
no, I don't think you're a villain. I don't think you're a villain. I'm a big fan of you. I've reached out to you. You've given me advice, and I wanted to say that in this podcast, you've given me advice. You're like true to the core, and that's why I like when I've reached out to you. Give me some good advice, a bit like EJ as well, quite true to the core. And you're not gonna fluff it up. You're gonna just say how it is. And if I was to do a challenge with you, I could imagine if I was struggling, you'd tell me straight, or if I was being lazy, you'd tell me direct. And I like that. And some people just don't like it. Some people want it all be nice and cozy, but you're quite straight to the point, which is I think is a really good trait. You say it how it is instead of fluffing around. So I don't think you're a villain.
yeah, no, I mean, and that's the thing. I think it all depends on what part of the country you live in. To be
Yeah,
honest with you, it's you know, if you grow up in the South, I mean, we're tough. You know, like we
yeah,
cut our eye teeth on hurricanes. We don't. They call them candy asses. You know where I'm
yeah,
from. So like, you know, there's none of that down here, right? You know what I mean? If you can't take a little bit of constructive criticism or the truth, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like we don't sugarcoat. I always tell people, you know, I don't sugarcoat that because you're fat and you'll eat that too. You know
yeah,
what I mean? So
exactly that. Yeah, and you're just straight down to the point. And I think some
yeah.
people don't like it, but some people do. And I think I like stuff like that. And obviously Sam Mouse told me loads about you, and he sings your praises. And I knew he'd probably
Mhm.
get on with you. And Sam's an excited little boy, and he gets all shy and he
Oh
gets
my
all
gosh.
excited.
Yeah. Yeah. Out of all my child, I got to tell you one thing. He was one of the most delightful people
Yeah, he is,
to
isn't he?
have. Yeah, because he loves the show.
Yeah,
Like he actually loves the show. Like, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't watch the show, right?
yeah,
Like I don't watch TV, you know.
yeah.
So I went out and did survival challenge, and so EJ would rattle off. This reminds me of season this and this and this when somebody did this, and I'm like, what? He's like, and the look of horror on his face when I told him I don't know who that is or I don't watch this, you know, and he was just horrified. But I'll never forget when we were coming in insertion and we were walking in and he screamed like a blood curdling scream, and I was stepping over a big limb of a tree that had fallen in a jungle, and I immediately froze and held my foot in the air because we're in Fleur de Lance territory, and I am assuming with that blood curdling scream that it is a snake, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, what is it, Sam? And he goes, it's the real monkeys. And I was like, okay. You know what I mean? I put my head down and I was like, we got to talk real quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but looking, it was the sweetest thing. But the true, like, he was so delighted and so like in awe. And he was in his magical moment. And, you know, he cried. He
Yeah,
cried
yeah.
when we came out there, and he was crying because he's like, I'm out here with my heroes. And this is another thing I really wish would have made the cut. As he cried, he said, "I'm out. You guys, you don't understand. You're my heroes. I'm out here with you guys." And I looked at him. I said, "Sam, now you're your own hero.
Yeah,
You're out
yeah.
here. You're part of it. You know." I wish that would have made the cut.
Oh, he's such a nice man. He's got a heart of gold, that man. But talking about your challenges, though, Heather, you've done 3 challenges, never tapped,
Mhm.
82 days. Eight. That's not on to be sniffed at. That's a good level of survival. Considering you said you'd done a little bit of it, then you've went from basic to advanced, and you've managed to spend 82 days. I've watched this show since it started. I've seen Marines drop out on 3 days on an island. I've seen army soldiers drop out on day 10. You've went out there and you've smashed 3 totally different environments. You've been in Africa 21 days. You were on an island for 21 days on Castaways, and you've done 40 days in Colombia. Colombia. Do you ever sit back and think, wow?
Yeah. But there's two things I think. Either wow, or or my grandfather used to tell me I was stubborn as a mule. And I think I
Yeah.
don't know if it's the wow factor or my grandpa was right. Maybe it's a little mixture of both,
Yeah.
So but yeah, of course it's awesome. I think what it's really cool is when the kids, speak to my children's, like other children speak to my kids, and they're like, what your mom's done, and my kids, I watched my kids beam with pride,
Yeah.
right? Like they're so excited. They're like proud, And I think that moment, I do say, wow, I think uh, it is a lot. It is a moment. Like I said, I mean, I can tell you this. After I finished Africa, I was brushing my teeth. And I looked down, I'll never forget, I looked down in the sink. It was the next day. Okay. And I looked up and I'd already taken a shower, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just was looking in the vanity, and I just started bawling my eyes out. I was just crying because the sense of accomplishment was so overwhelming, and the happiness that I felt was so overwhelming that I couldn't help but cry.
Yeah. That was
Yeah.
brilliant. Absolutely
Yeah.
brilliant. But talking about all your environments, though, Heather, you've been 40 days in Colombia, you've done 21 days in Africa and 21 days on the islands. What was your hardest challenge and why?
Uh, Sorry, I've got so much going on at the same time.
Yeah.
I got a guy delivering wood. I got a dog going crazy.
No, that's okay.
What? It's just like in the jungle, except instead of bugs, it's real life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I'm like, okay, all right, hold on. And they wonder why single mothers are the number one person to make it on Naked and
Yeah.
Afraid. It's because we juggle so much. And
But
they asked me that too. I'll get back to what you're saying about what's
yeah,
hard, but I noticed a difference when we were in, and it's something I think I've never seen said in an interview, and it needs to be pointed out. When we were out there, we hadn't slept, and like, so the sleep deprivation was getting to Adam really bad.
yeah,
And he's like, I haven't slept in 2 days. I need to get some rest. And I said, and they asked me, they're like, why do you think that you're pushing through it more than Adam? And I said, because I've had babies. Everyone knows what it's like when you have a newborn. We're used to that sleep deprivation and still
yeah.
functioning. And if you're someone that hasn't had children, you haven't had to go through that grueling task yet. So anyway, that was not an answer to the question, but I think it's important somebody needs
That
to
was
put that
good.
out
It was
there.
good it was something different for the fans to listen to.
But it's true. It's true. Like, life gives you a lot of tasks. Real life prepares you a lot more for survival than people realize it.
Mm.
Kids, please, the guy is outside with the wood. Ella, Ella, Ella. The guy is outside with the wood. Please bring him the money and get the cords of wood and put it up there. Both of you guys, because I don't want the chips going anymore. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to throw them out of the house. So, anyway, we've got what do I think is the hardest challenge?
Yeah.
Are you going to edit all of this, or is this going to all come out just like this?
Straight on. I don't edit nothing.
Okay, good. All right. Well, I'm going to teach you editing. Yeah, I mean, grab the guy, that's him. Y'all shut the door and come back in when the interview's over. Okay. So, what's going to happen? What do I think is the hardest challenge? I think the hardest challenge was definitely Colombia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I love how you say that, because I've always believed jungles are a tough environment, and I've served in a lot of jungles throughout my career. And when I got my first challenge in Colombia, I get eaten alive by bugs. Bugs just want to eat me. I've got O blood group, and I get
Me
hammered every
too.
time.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We get bit. We get bit. And
We're Aries and we're O's. We're
Aries
always the
Rose,
target.
yeah,
Yeah,
but a target. We are
yeah,
a target for
mhm,
mosquitoes.
yeah.
And when I got given my 21 days, the hardest part for me in the jungle was the bug bites. And I was just trying to overcome that. And I think 40 days in the jungle with no clothes on would be a different ball game. And I'd like to test myself on that. But I'm so happy you say that because you see loads of people who do really well in Africa, and then they're like the stars of the show. They've done really well in Africa. And you're like, "Ah, come on, let's get them in the jungle and let's see how they operate differently in the jungle, and let's see how
Well,
how they
another
think."
thing too, when they got hunting skills, it's a lot easier to hit something the size of a freaking moving van
Yeah,
than it is when you start shooting small, right? You know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean? Like it's a lot different. But um, the jungle is, I did 21 days in Panama.
yeah.
I mean, I did 21 days in Castaways, and Castaways. Now that had the worst bugs I've ever been around in my life. Like so that the beach that Patrick, myself, and Andrew ended up in after the jungle. The name of that beach, I don't speak Spanish, so I don't want to lie and say what it was in Spanish, but I do know that the exact translation of the name of the beach that we were on is Chigger Beach.
Wow.
So I was eaten alive. But 40 days in the jungle is just immense torture over and over again, and it doesn't stop.
Honestly, kudos to you though. You've showed your resilience numerous times. You haven't quit and you've powered through. On your challenges though, have you made any good friends who you reckon you've bonded with, or your mates for life with? Because on my first challenge, me and Sonny, we've been like that. We're like proper little buddies now. Me and the wife are going back to their house in America in Spokane for this Christmas. We went to Canada last year. We flew over to Canada last year, and we've been
Okay.
like that. Have you
So
made any
that's
good
cool.
mates?
I do, and I talk to him quite frequently. So I will tell you too, where I trained was an hour and a half north of Spokane.
All right, nice.
Yeah, so that's where when I said it was a PNW, I was right there at the Canadian border. It was Idaho, Idaho and Washington's right there, right? And then you go up north, and then there's the Canadian border, and that is actually where I trained when I got all my certifications in the beginning. That's where it
Oh wow.
started. Yeah. Yes. So very first one, Dallas and I talk all the time. So Dallas and I are awesome. Love his wife. We probably text literally once every day still, like, so at least once a day. And that is literally, I mean, since we filmed, and we've originally filmed in 21,
Yeah,
and so that's been going on since then. And then my castaways, Bulent and I are super close.
yeah.
So Bulent's truly probably one of my best friends now, and we talk all the time. And so he's actually flown down to Texas last year, and we were all together last year. And so, and I think they're kind of come back down again. So, yeah, and I met our kids and his kids hang out together. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Oh,
And
that's
then,
bloke.
yeah, and then Shell from Excel, Shell and I are very close. So she's flown to Texas, and she's seen me in Texas, and came out and did an event with me. And she'll be with me in spring of next year as well. So we're doing a wellness clinic for veterans, and she'll be with me in Arkansas. She's meet me in Arkansas.
Oh, nice. I like seeing Shell, and she's nice, dead quiet, and she knows her foraging really well. And when she was in Africa, I remember building that big trap what she built when she was with Cole to catch the catfish. And yeah, she's got really good skills as well. Is there anyone that you haven't really got on with on any of your challenges, or you just don't speak to no more?
Yeah, absolutely. And so if I don't talk about them, no, so
Yeah.
I think please shut that. Thank you. There is there's a few things I will say that uh it's probably gonna ruffle some feathers, but I'm
I
gonna
don't
say
edit
it.
this though. I put this on raw.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm being very careful with what
Yeah.
I say. I have no, okay, let me put it this way. I have zero respect for a cast member that wants to sleep with another married cast member. And so that's gonna I'm definitely probably cause some real friction between me and that person. And um my version of starting drama would be the fact that I'm gonna call them out for trying to sleep with someone that's married. And I think I said it best, I don't know who needs to hear this, but someone else's husband's not your soulmate, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean that's a big one. So Patrick really is as annoying as people thought he was. You know what I mean? In Apocalypse, that's another one. These are separate people, by the way, just so you know. I'm going down the list here. Uh, uh, but Patrick does have his good qualities to him. There are some things about Patrick that I will tell you. He does have some good qualities, but he is as annoying as he comes across on television. You know, and my first one, the guy really did cry the whole time. You know, he was super fancy, and he really did. You know, was virtue signaling and going for the sympathy thing, and I just don't. I got no respect for that. You
Yeah.
know, so what people don't realize, and I think this is a big one that the people don't know, is that I had lost my entire family. You know, everyone was like saying that I had told him, you know, to be quiet. The editing was not done the way what really happened, and that's okay. I mean, people are going to believe whatever aired, right? And that's just the way the fans are.
Yeah.
So, was it said? Yes, but it wasn't said in that context. What people don't realize is that I had lost my entire family. And when his stepdad had passed away, it had been 20 years, you know, ago. And when we were out there, we were actually out there on the 3 year anniversary of my mom's dad, like while we were filming. And I have lost my mom, dad, all my grandparents, aunts, uncles. I'm literally the oldest person living in my family.
Yeah.
And so it was a slap in my face to me for Discovery just to make it about his stepdad and not even mention the fact that my whole family had passed away, which is what got me into the outdoors to begin with. And I think, but they also aired it the same month as the 20-year anniversary of his stepdad's passing, and they were doing a big thing on the astronaut. So I see what happened there, you know,
Yeah.
in retrospect. Um, and but yeah, there's no love lost there. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then what people don't know, the fans think that all these people are great, but a lot of these castmates are really, really ugly and mean afterwards, and you know that. And I have seen there's several of them that are in this like Mean Girls group, you know, and they say awful things. There was context in there about how they were gonna jump me and rape me in a challenge, you know, and I've got screenshots of that. Yeah, there's some awful things said by a lot of these people, and I truly don't want to have anything to do with any of them ever again.
Yeah. Wow. We ain't
Yeah,
expected that. We ain't expected that. But
yeah.
my little 10-minute time has just popped up, so we're nearly done anyway. We're nearly coming to the end now. If you got offered another opportunity to go on Naked and Afraid, would you ever do it again?
Nope, not enough money in the world.
Really, you wouldn't go out again?
No, there's not enough money in the world.
Do you know, I
No,
really,
I'm very happy with what my life has changed. I've changed my life a lot, right? And so I've got daughters that are playing sports,
yeah,
and so I'm super involved in their activities. You know, I've got one of them's a freshman in high school. She's playing varsity, right? You know what I mean? And so um, I'm very involved in their lives. And I've retired from fishing, you know, and I went back into sales and oil and gas, and I've got a super career. And I'm not going to make, you know, oil and gas is right now it's oil and gas is always feast or famine. Right now it's feast, so
yeah,
I would be a fool to step away from it, you know. And no, there's I'll be honest, and another thing I just saw recently, like you know, the Charlie Kirk incident happened with the assassination. And I saw one of these girls that they had cast as an influencer. I guess they let her film that she was going out there ahead of time, which I was super confused why they were saying she's an influencer when she only has 12,000 followers, like in total.
yeah,
But, you know, whatever. But she made the blanket statement that all white people are racist. And to be honest with you, I just don't want to be tied with the people that they're casting now.
yeah. It's funny,
You know?
like, because obviously it's not really watched in the UK, so you don't get
Mhm.
all. It's funny when I'm in the fan groups and there's a lot of drama, and it's like wrestling now. It is like wrestling, but
Yeah.
I love the challenge for what it is. I like going out there and getting the opportunity to go and test myself in an amazing environment. And if I got invited back, I would grab with both hands. I'd love to do last one standing. That I feel like that's right up my street. And the good thing is, like I said, no one watches it in the UK, so I could cause drama. I could do whatever I want. Go back home, and no one would ever give me any trouble because no one ever sees it. No one ever watches the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, I think you would do well. I wish you the best of luck.
Mm.
You know what I mean? You're a commando for Pete's sake. You know, I think that you would do well. I think your wife, Jenny, you know, is
Yeah,
talented and there's some room for her to go down that path as well, you know.
yeah,
But I think I think for me, I The drama is way too bad. And I don't, the public doesn't see how some of these their mean girl groups are, and they always think those are the nice people, right? And I just don't want to mess with it. Like I'm like they can have it. They try to purposely, and they get their little fans to attack a certain person, and they do a certain thing, and it's just ugly. It's ugly because some of the really great ones that come through there won't go back because of it.
Yeah. I just want to say though, for the fans that you've always been amazing. You've always given me some great advice, and I'm privileged that you've took your time out to jump on here. But you give me advice before Colombia, you give me advice before Africa on Apocalypse. And I want to say thank you very much for that publicly while I'm on here. So thank you very much. And EJ, you and EJ give me loads of advice before I went on my challenge. But if you have
Mhm.
people now, someone new wanting to go in the outdoors, and it's the final question I always ask everyone, someone new going in the outdoors, what is your top tip you'll give someone who wants to get into the great outdoors?
Train, practice and train more. Like if you think you're trained, you're not. Okay. Like there's going to be a lot of stuff that you don't know and you don't know everything. Don't go in there. Go in humble. Please go in humble. Or you're going to be humbled if not,
Yeah,
right? Like you will be humbled if not. It doesn't matter how trained you are. It doesn't, you're not just like Gabby, right? The famous Gabby, which I absolutely love. She said, you don't have enough firewood. You don't have enough training. It doesn't mean you can't go. It just means practice a lot more right up to the moment you're walking in. And, prep your body, prep your feet. It's super important. People don't understand how tender your feet really are. And people don't realize women's feet biologically are more tender than men's.
yeah.
So, you've got to do your homework, do your prep work, and, practice, pray, and and don't give up. Because if you give up, let me tell you, there is no honor in quitting. And you are never going to get a chance again to take back that humiliation of the minute you tap.
Yeah. I like them sayings there, Heather, spot on, absolutely spot on. And so you've got people watching this now, all right? If they want to come and follow you, where can people follow you?
I've got Heather Smith Outdoors on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. I also have Heather Smith Outdoors, the official Heather Smith Outdoors, Heather Smith Media on that's my website. You guys can look it up. And then, I just now I post my stuff and now I don't have to do anything where there's not a lot of pressure on me. I get to do what I want at my speed, and I still have my life with the girls. We still go do our outdoor stuff, but now it's also a little bit more sports, a lot more cooking and well, a whole bunch more good times.
Oh, spot on. Honestly, Heather, it's been absolutely amazing having you on here. Like I said, I didn't want to take up too much of your time. Quick 30 minutes, in and out, and we're done. Anyone watching this, like I always say, make sure you all go and check out Heather. She's an absolutely amazing woman, amazing skill sets, and she is kind of hard, all right? She's not the villain what you think she is. But make sure you all come and
Yeah.
subscribe to this podcast, like, comment, and share. And peace out. Thank you very much, everyone. Much appreciated for tuning in.
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. And good night. I know it's late over there.
Yeah, 1 in the morning, quarter to one.
Oh my goodness. We've
Yeah.
talked your ear off. I appreciate you.
Honestly, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Bye bye.